WTF.
Now you can take your Allins, you can take your Chad Gables, you can even take your boy, Xavier Woods, who is all kinds of rated R, and you can shove them up your arsehole because it turns out that Cody Rhodes is the hacker from SmackDown. I mean, the opening from last night's Dynamite was fantastic, but it was weird to see them using that camera angle there, wasn't it? Unless, of course, the powers that be at AEW do not watch WWE Friday Night SmackDown and didn't actually realise what they were unintentionally parodying. Easy for me to say. But then again, of course they watch WWE. They parody a lot of things, don't they? And then we have Cody Rhodes asking a very weird question when he asked, am I the 3-star general mid-card for life? What a weird question for him to ask based on the stuff he's done in All Elite Wrestling all by itself. Is this 2017 or something? Has this period of self-isolation taken us back many years when people were actually asking this question? I think Cody Rhodes' matches in All Elite Wrestling has certainly shut those doubters up once and for all. Now I think it was Shawn Spears who was shouting fatality! Fatality mere seconds before Sammy Guevara did that splash off that top rope onto Darby Allin, who was on that ladder. But slap my arse and call me a sexy Geordie god, because could Shawn Spears have been any more right or what? The way that Sammy came down like a ton of sexy Spanish bricks and the way that ladder didn't give whatsoever provides us with yet another WTF moment. The fact that Darby Allin didn't in fact turn into several Darby Allin chunks as his body was forced through the gaps in the rungs on that ladder. It was absolutely brutal. Referee Aubrey Edwards is a member of the Inner Circle, confirmed. Look at the state of poor little back-broken Darby Allin right there when referee Aubrey decided to ring the bell. What the hell happened to both men getting back to their feet before the bell is rung, Aubrey Edwards, or should we call you Le Referee, you crooked bastard? And then we have Le Champion, also an Inner Circle member, alongside Aubrey Edwards, of course, Chris Jericho, claiming every single time that he and Kenneth Omega have done the grapples inside of a ring, he has won all of the matches. And even though he's being Le Champion, a no good, dirty, lying son of a gun, I've got to point this out, because if I don't, you'll all call me names and I don't like that. Wrestle Kingdom 12, that says Bonjour Le Champion. Chris Jericho's Rock and Wrestling Ranger at sea, the first one, the third day of that first one, in a 6-man tag team match, that says Bonjour as well. Is Allin Angels in fact Stu Grayson of the Dark Order? I'm just putting it out there. Pineapple Pete and the Stupid Gun Brothers? What a compliment to Billy, eh? But it turns out that Chris Jericho is now in fact writing crappy cheesy 80s movies while he's on commentary for AEW. That man does it all. And then we learned that Orange Cassidy is too laissez-faire for Le Champion Chris Jericho. Now I only got a B at GCSE French, and that was only because I quite literally memorised every single word for word, in my speaking exam. I had no idea what it meant, so I took myself over to a dictionary to try and find out what laissez-faire actually means, and it means an unwillingness to get involved in or influence other people's activities. So first off, we have Orange Cassidy, who always gets involved in other people's matches. That's why he was having that match against Jimmy Havoc on last night's Dynamite. And also, lots of people dress up like Orange Cassidy, which shows that Orange Cassidy actually does influence other people and their activities. So I guess that opinion from Le Champion is a WTF moment then, isn't it? It's got to be. And then we have Le Champion claiming that he has seen a great singles match between Orange Cassidy and War Geordie Pack on an episode of Dynamite in the past. And I was wondering if Le Champion, who of course watches this video because everyone watches these videos, I was wondering if he could tell me what week of Dynamite that was, because I would love to see that match based off the magic we saw between Orange Cassidy and Pac at Bloody Revolution. And then we have Trent, who as far as I could see before last night's Dynamite is and or was a babyface in the professional wrestling, but he asked the following questions when he said, do I want to fight Penelope? Yes. But can I legally fight her? Well, of course I can't. Trent, no wonder your name might or might not have a question mark immediately after it, because what the hell's all that about, man? Now, I didn't make it a WTF moment on last week's Dynamite WTF Moments because I wanted to see, after that loss to Jon Moxley in the main event, where Jake Hager ended up on this week's episode of Dynamite. But during the latest installment of the Bubbly Bunch, we learned out that Jake Hager was indoors, which is a huge WTF moment. And that's because we saw Mrs. Hager a week or two ago on the wrestling saying, we here at the Hager household, we're a house of winners. If you don't win, you don't come home. Jake Hager didn't win against Jon Moxley, but Jake Hager has found himself a home. But the question is, which home is that? Because it can't be his own home. Mrs. Hager bans him. Now I've got to make that entire stipulation of if Dustin Rhodes loses, he will set himself on fire. Wrong, red man. He will retire a WTF moment just because of the massive pack of pork pies, massive lies Dustin told when he was leaving WWE last year. Let me ask you a question, even though it's a really pointless question. Did you really think that if Dustin Rhodes lost that match to Kip Sabian on last night's Dynamite, he would actually retire? Because I don't, he's a massive liar, look at the picture. He works us smart, Mark, so he does, but also, why am I even mentioning this? This is professional wrestling. Retirements aren't real, are they? I mean, credit to AEW making this match feel bigger and more important than it already was, but after that there, you weren't fooling me, no. And then we have a destroyer winning a professional match here in the year of 2020. I think the end's come and gone, to be honest. The end is nigh, the end is nigh, time to run away, the end is nigh, nigh. And that's it for all your WTF moments from this week's AEW Dynamite, and quite frankly, I loved the balls off this episode. Everything was a hit, everything was enjoyable, and no doubt about it, you're gonna call me an AEW shill, even though I stood here on the SmackDown WTF moment saying I loved all of that show, apart from the bit where we learned that big baldy bastard Baron Corbin versus Elias, that is still a thing that is happening after WrestleMania and after some murder. But that's the world we live in, eh? It doesn't bother me at all. Ta-da.